iPhone 11. I'm not going to go into debt to buy the iPhone 15. I thought about it for a hot minute, but then on Friday, I got talked into, I was just going to Walmart to buy a couple of things. And there were these two young men that started talking to me about Spectrum. They're like, what internet do you have? And I'm like, I have Spectrum Wi-Fi. And I just happened to mention, but I have been thinking about going to Spectrum for cell phone service because honestly, I feel like AT&T is way too expensive. And I know I say this about everything. Electricity is too expensive. AT&T is too expensive. Okay, life's too expensive. Whatever. I'm not rich. I pay my own bills. I pay my own way in life. I'm not rich. So yes, I do think they're all a little pricey. But I guess to be honest with you, I loved getting the iPhone 11, but I kind of regret having signed a contract because if I could be completely honest and do it again, I would just do a prepaid phone through. I know people are like, Walmart Family Mobile, but you know what? They have different ones at Walmart Family Mobile. They have an AT&T one. You can buy like a new iPhone 13, a new iPhone 15 if you want a new phone and just do the prepaid. And that's what I would do again. I would never be locked into a contract where you have to pay off a phone. I don't know. Maybe these maybe you couldn't buy a 15. Maybe you could just buy a 13. But I don't really need a 15. I think sometimes it just sounds exciting to get the higher phone. I think the 11's great. The 11's a good phone. I always have to buy new though. It always has to be a new item because I know how I treat stuff. So I always have to buy a new phone, new clothes, because I want it to last a long time. So I don't want a secondhand one because I don't know. Even if they build it, I don't know how it was treated. I don't know if people took their phone. Even if I take my phone in the bathroom, I know what my hygiene level is, and I know how I treat my phone. I don't like to buy things that are secondhand, or refurbished. I don't know. My dad's really into that, but I'm not into that. So I just paid it off, and I'm going to, I guess, go to Spectrum, which is going to be a new fun adventure. But it seems like now I've already had a couple issues with my phone holding a charge because I don't charge it at night, and I just fall asleep with my phone in my hand, and then I forget to charge it, and people are like, why don't you charge your phone to 100%? And it just seems to, I think the reason is, I don't think it's because it's converting over to Spectrum. I thought maybe that's why. But I think it's just because I need to charge my phone completely at night. So then my live stream dies. It went goodbye. And it was going bye-bye. Oh, AT&T, sorry. I do love this dress. It's a dress I found on Temu. It's very cute. I'm just speaking too fast, I think. AT&T, it's just one of the big providers. It's funny because here in the U.S., they used to have anti-monopoly legislation where they broke up all the pack bells. Like back in the 70s, Pac Bell used to be we used to have a Pac Bell company, I think, here in Southern California, and they broke that up, and then it became GTE, and then you had Verizon come in, but Verizon doesn't do home phone in California anymore. Now it's Frontier. I don't know. But then with the cell phones, they've become these big monopolies. Like you have AT&T, you have Verizon, and then you have T-Mobile, Sprint. I don't know. And then there's some other baby ones, but honestly, they all piggyback off the big networks built by AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, but T-Mobile might share, I don't know, with somebody else. All I know is I'm tired of AT&T because I'm not a fan, and I'd rather do Spectrum Mobile just because they're promising me that it could be $10 a month, but I'm afraid that could be a big fight too. Plus, the big fight once I get my SIM card in the mail, I need to go check my mail today. I have to install it into my phone and convert it from AT&T to Spectrum, and I just know something's going to go bad. I'm going to end up having to go to the Spectrum store. I think those guys, I should not have listened to them, but I really wasn't in the mood. I just was there to shop, And I'm always friendly with people, but I was about ready to leave, and there are these two young gentlemen. They're like, "Oh, we make a commission if you do this," and I don't know why. I was just being nice, and I don't usually talk to those people, but for some reason, I don't know. I just thought, oh, it sounds good. They're like, it would be so easy, and I should have known because every single time, you know what? It'll be fine. I guess it'll convert just fine. I am sure when I get my SIM card, I can do it. Because, actually, because I thought about this, it'll be fine. I'm very tech savvy. I set up all my, like when I used to do my prepaid phone, people said that was hard, but I did it myself. And you have to have like Wi-Fi, and I always did that myself, so I'll be fine. I don't think I need to go and inspect them to do it. I'm sure I can figure it out myself. I'll sit down with a tutorial, and I'll convert it over to the other provider. But yeah, don't ever get in a contract with your cell phone. Just don't do it. I do not recommend it. But I love keeping my hair in a braid for 2 days. That I do recommend. And I guess one thing I was talking about earlier with I am still very interested in like Middle Eastern culture and things, but I guess the thing that has just really bothered me lately is just how some people act like they're gatekeeping Middle Eastern culture, like they're the most Middle Eastern ones. And in my experience, it kind of happened when, I don't know, like I always thought I would do collaborations with people, but why don't I do a collaboration? Well, there were other reasons I stopped doing a collaboration with somebody. They were just always very pushy, and it was like, okay, this particular person thought everything that they wanted to talk about was the best topic, and they believed, like they had this illusion that everything that they wanted to talk about was that what everybody wanted, but then they seemed to get frustrated when people didn't really resonate with it. And when I would do live streams with this person, I thought they were interesting, okay? But I would talk to people I know, and they're like, you know what, I'm not even interested, because that's just not interesting. Like, they would try to watch a few minutes of it, and they didn't even find it interesting. That was just the reaction I got from some people, but maybe it's because it wasn't their topic of interest. But it just came down to, I just feel like I was tricked, without getting into the politics of it. A lot of this has to do with October 7th, and I feel like I was tricked by this person who said she was very interested in Levantine culture, but it was only if you did it from her perspective, okay? Like, yes, I know some people, like when they go to take their DNA test, like they get a big admixture of like Ashkenazi or something. But a lot of people with Middle Eastern roots, even the ones that are Israeli, do get a Levantine admixture, or they get like a Mesopotamian admixture. Like there are people that get that, and they may have lived in Europe for centuries, but they get that because they stayed in close-knit communities where they married within. But they do have European, don't get me wrong. I mean, I have some, on my mom's side, I have some Ashkenazi going back, like a few, because I've done the research, and I said, well, because we were like, this is interesting, because my uncle was like, DNA test, he was showing like 1% European Jewish for a while, and then that went away. But I did some research, and I was like, there was this one family in our family tree on their Germanic side, their German side, that had like, so I mean, I get it, but they didn't stay, like they married out, apparently. But that was many generations back, and I'm just saying, some people with European ancestry, it's pretty common. But the thing I didn't like about this particular people, like, after this whole thing happened, I found out these people are just kind of using other people because they want to promote their different definition of what a Middle Eastern person should be, and they would pretend to be like interested in Arab culture or Levantine culture, but only the caveat was that you had to support their definition. And I should have always known, because they said we did a video about it. I thought you agreed with everything I said. I never agreed with everything they said. I was just listening to their viewpoint, and I actually said things I agreed with, but they didn't really hear what I said. And I always said I thought that everybody had a right to statehood in the Middle East. And that became, okay, so it got so heated, it got so icky. So basically I was told that anybody who like condemned bombing people were cruel. And then they were like, oh, it's just collateral damage because they attacked us first. And I just don't want to be part of that dynamic. And I realized this whole time, that particular person who was not even religious, okay, who didn't even want to call themselves Jewish. Like when I would talk about why don't we, because she had a common Jewish friend, why don't we talk about this? Oh, well, we can't really talk about that religious aspect. Secular. And I was never one of these people. It came down to the point that we were only supposed to support their secular viewpoint of what Middle Eastern people could be, and you had to support their definition. And if other people wanted to have their own state, that wasn't acceptable. But they could be part in their definition. And the funny thing is, the more religious people would definitely not accept them. No! You can't even go and visit your family members if you're Palestinian. You can't even go back to your lands. Why do you think there's so many Americans with Palestinian roots that live in the U.S.? And I had some distant cousins that were born in Palestine. And I thought, being a Canaanite person, Syrian Lebanese, that's our roots. But this person would say, well, we have the same roots. But you had to have their strict definition. Although there's a lot of people that they don't even think that they're Middle Eastern at all. And they might not even be that much. I don't know. But here's the thing. They're probably not that much. They're probably like, 0.3% or something. Right? And they're not even religious. But their whole claim, I don't like to argue politics. It's so political. Their whole claim, yeah, there is a lot of, there's nothing wrong with, what people are, but this was the part that bothered me. It has to do with, how, unless you are part of supporting a country that's doing bad things to people, and I'm not part of the people that are protesting in this kind of heated way, I'm not doing that, but I just don't agree with the U.S. sending money to another country. I just don't do these things, but they're gonna do it anyway. They're gonna do what they want, but the more you look into it, this person grew up in the U.S. Bibi. He grew up in Boston, okay? He grew up in Boston. And I'm not trying to create divisions or be anti anybody this or anti that, but people constructed this. It is a new thing. It's a new phenomenon. They have constructed this. And then there's people that have lived there for centuries. And I guess this was the thing that just really bothered me about and why I completely ended the collaboration with that lady is she's friends with people who say Palestinian people aren't even indigenous to the land. And she didn't really try to debate with them, even though she does not believe that. But she called me something really horrible, and she thinks the only reason I don't want to talk to her again was because she called me something horrible. No, it's because she had no respect for me, and I don't know. It was so gross. She had zero respect for me, and I realized it's because I wasn't, well, first off, I just couldn't do live streams anymore, I really couldn't, but I wasn't being the parrot. And she told me other people that, were from a similar, I'm part Syrian Lebanese, I'm not full, but this other guy, who's full, Syrian Lebanese, he supports the conservative, and by the way, a lot of people in Israel do not support what's going on. They don't. But he supports the conservative government in Israel. Really, a few months ago they were protesting against how they were overhauling their whole Supreme Court, and what happened there? Like, people aren't anymore? It's weird. I really don't know. But it's a very authoritarian state, and it seems like it's just if you, and I hate to say that, but only if you are a certain kind of person. And it's funny because the person that I argued with, they knew all those things, but the minute that this happened, it's like, we're the good people, they're the bad people. And I just, looking back, I don't want to get super political because I hate these divisions, but as more and more people are dying, and as they've cut off electricity, water, and they dismantled like an area to bring supplies to people, how on earth can you justify all that? Because I think what it was they just wanted to get rid of indigenous people. Let's be honest. And that's what everybody on TikTok is saying. People from this region. Maybe we should start listening to indigenous people from this region. So if that's not cool with you, and you think, oh my gosh, Julia, like, how could you feel that way? You don't care about people that are indigenous to that region, and that is just a thing. And that there's some people that probably aren't that much Middle Eastern at all, and then that are super secular, but because of what they decide is their identity, they have more of a claim to living in a certain region than people who are 100% Palestinian indigenous, who are not allowed to go back. But according to some of these people, oh, it would be okay if I was in charge, but then they would still have to go along with what I say. And that bothered me to my core. And you can't justify that. You just can't. You can't justify that to the core. And I don't know. So those were just some of my things about this whole Middle Eastern thing. I still love Middle Eastern culture, don't get me wrong. I don't like racist Middle Eastern people. That I don't like. But I just hate the whole debate. And that was my take on it, and just where I felt very disillusioned. You know, that was what a lot of other people told me too. And that was another reason, like, for a long time. They said they didn't even think I should do live streams with that person anymore. That I shouldn't, like, that I should have cut it off way back when, but I let it go too far, and then I said some things like I had stopped doing live streams with that person, right? But then they went and did a live stream where, and you know, this wasn't the first time they did it. They did it with other friends, like, because basically, I don't think this person really wants to have friends. They just used people, like, as a means to an end, like people that were genuinely nice to them. And I saw this play out before, where they wrote a story about somebody, and it turned out this person was a liberal, but even though this person had been their friend and invited them to go do something, they weren't good enough because, oh, they weren't doing their whole agenda. I don't know. Yeah, it bothered me a little bit, but it doesn't bother me that much because it really doesn't even make any sense. But there's a reason I don't do a collaboration with that person before, but the whole thing, that whole video that they did, sealed the deal. It sealed the deal with a ribbon. I could never go back. I mean, I don't think they'd want me back either anyway. So, and my sister said, she goes, I don't understand, Julia, why don't you just be over things? Like, most people are over things, like, when they're done with something. And I'm like, yeah, usually I get it. But the point was, it was kind of weird. It's just like, why did you need to do that? And I thought about it. It was narcissism. It was just pure narcissism because, I don't know. But, and it wasn't even just her. It's because I've seen it on a larger scale where there's people that pretended to care about peace in the Middle East, but now they don't anymore because, hey, like, there's events happening in the world, and they're never going to say anything about it. They're never going to say, hey, maybe, like, we should help the Palestinian people, and hey, they're starving to death. And they're never going to speak out about the Israeli military guy that went into some Palestinian woman's house, okay, posted this on Twitter, was playing with her underwear and calling her slutty. F you. Because is that cute? Is that what people think? I don't know. When I think about all that, I don't know. And that tells you a lot, because that's like something that the German Nazis would do. It really is. And I never really saw anybody speak out about that. And it was on Twitter and people knew about it. It was on TikTok and people knew about them doing that. Anyway, I don't want to get too political, but I'm not voting for either big guys. I wouldn't vote for Trump and I wouldn't vote for Biden. This is my opinion. I don't like what they're saying about Trump right now, like making fun of what happened to him, because that never should have happened. I think that's horrible, and there should have been better security at that event, and what's going on, and why wasn't there better security at that event? Look, I don't think a third party person will ever be elected anyway, because that's just the way that Americans think they only have two choices. But I've always been an independent. I'm still registered as a libertarian, but no, I'm gonna vote independent. I don't know for who and what, but I don't know. There's just a lot of things, like when I start thinking about all that, I'm like, it's just so gross. It's so gross. But you really shouldn't let these things get to you too much, because I'm like, oh, I love food and culture and things like that. I guess some of this just comes to my mind because usually I don't get too into that. I love the food and the culture. Well, that's a good option, right? I feel like right now there's like a certain agenda and a lot of people have it, and then I kind of hate racism on TikTok too, like, and that's another thing, like, I don't understand, like, why it's allowed, like, supposedly they have a filter, like, did you know they filter out, like, certain Otter fans, certain X-rated stuff, but then for some reason people are making racist comments, and those aren't filtered. I think that stuff should be filtered off Twitter or TikTok. I don't know. I don't understand, like, why those kind of comments. And I know people are like, but free speech, and I'm like, well, if other stuff's not allowed, why is this stuff being allowed? So I personally am just abstaining from a lot of this divisive stuff because I just don't think it's healthy, and I think they like to keep people very on edge, especially when it gets close to election year. I think the divisiveness, like, they're getting ready to ramp it up here in the U.S. Like, it's been kind of dormant just because right now we don't have the best candidates, okay? Like, we have two old men that are way too old to be running for president. They just are, okay? Both. And one, I don't think has ran the country at all himself. And the other one, I just don't agree with a lot of his policy, okay? I'm not a big fan of his policy. I'm just not, but you can like whoever you like, and personally, like, they're fighting to the death over these people. But you have to remember, Donald Trump donated to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Donald Trump used to be registered a Democrat. Donald Trump is a businessman extraordinaire. He just revamps himself. He was never a conservative Christian. He was chewing cocaine in the 1980s. Prostitutes. I mean, come on. I don't buy it. So it's all a joke. It's all a joke in my opinion. But I'm just not a fan of either of them. But I don't know. Whatever. Trump's probably gonna win though. I'm not saying that I think that's the best thing because I'm not voting for him. But I kind of am getting that feeling right now just because I don't know. That's just my prediction at the moment. I think that's good, Colette. I think that's good that you do that. I just don't even talk much on, I do talk on social media, but just even in general, there's a lot of good people. Like, I meet a lot of good people in day-to-day life, but I still feel like sometimes just even in day-to-day life, like there are people, they just kind of get kind of cruel. I don't know. I didn't mean for this live stream to get so dark. I was gonna be more positive here, but I was just kind of thinking different sort of, I don't know. I usually am pretty positive. I'm trying to be a positive girly, but I just today, I've just been thinking all these thoughts, and I wish I was more like my sister, that once I was done with something, I just completely put it out of my mind and be like, wow. So, like, for instance, when I'm talking about when I stopped doing live streams with that person, I'm not hurt by it or anything, because I think deep down I always knew that person was like that, but I just kind of wanted to believe that they weren't. I don't know why. And I thought doing a collaboration would be good for my channel, but it just spoke to a bigger issue in just society. But I just think a lot of people are like that. I think a lot of people just want an association with somebody if they feel like it would benefit them to some degree. And I think she was beginning to realize that I didn't help her become a big star or something, which is kind of weird because she's not a model. She's not a politician. She's not an actress. And I'm not a big YouTuber either, but I was beginning to feel like, like she kind of was feeling like my purpose was only good when I was helping, if she thought I could help her channel grow. And then, it just felt weird. And I don't know. And sometimes I just reflect about these things, and I wish I was more like my sister. I'm just like over, like just once you instantly, you're over that, right? But like if I could go back in time, I would want all of my presence on her channel just not there. Like, because I don't know, there's people that watch this channel that still watch her channel. You need to know there's a reason why I'm not on her channel anymore. Even before she did the live stream about me, she had done and said things that just weren't nice, okay? And it just made me feel very, like, just made me feel bad. And she basically said, because she's a more logical person, that she's the logical one, and she crossed the line, okay? But I know I'm a good person. She went so far as to say, oh, well, nobody knows that it's about you. Oh, no. They wouldn't know it was about me when you said those things. Oh, heavens, no. Like, who else were you talking about? And that was always kind of the thing with her. Well, they didn't know it was about, and it's all good and fine. But yeah, it was the best thing to stop doing collaborations with her, but I should have stopped earlier. Like the first time I stopped a couple of years ago, I should have just cut it off completely, because there's nothing to be sad about. And yeah, I'm still in some of her videos, but I don't think anybody was going to her videos to watch me anyway. I don't know. They were going to her videos to watch whatever she talks about, and that's another reason I just didn't see the point of collaborations, because every time we were supposed to have this very structured topic. I have two younger sisters. But my youngest sister, she has no interest in social media. I'm talking about the one that has kids and that I do more things with. Like, she's the one that had seen some of the stuff. Well, I'd say the youngest one didn't really like some of her content, for sure. But I don't know. I think I just ruminated about it too much, and I feel like so it's over with. It's done. And you might see something like, oh, where I don't even know how much crossover it is, because I know I'm not like that big of a YouTuber, right? I don't claim to be a big, giant YouTuber. I've never claimed that. And I know that. I know that I'm not really super big. So maybe not that many people even saw that I was in videos with her, or even, I don't know. And I used to think some of our talks were good, but I realize now they were all part of a certain agenda, like to promote her secular version of what is the prominent Middle Eastern country. But yet you're an American too, living in America, but yet you're super invested in that. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. like, I'm American and my allegiance is to America. My allegiance, like, I may have Syrian ancestry, but I'm definitely not a citizen of Syria, right? And I feel like you need to pick and choose. Like, maybe I'm weird, but I just feel like if you're gonna have allegiance to a country, your allegiance should be to one, not to three. Am I weird? But that's kind of my thought too on that. Wow, that's a lot. It's like my mom. My mom had, I think there were 9 of them, but 3 of them died when they were little. So my mom, there were 9 of them, and then my dad, there were 5 of them. And funnily enough, with my Syrian grandpa, my great grandparents, they only had 3 kids. But I think before that, they might have had more on that side. But I think my mom's side, they always had them, like a lot of kids. People used to have a lot of children. That's so cool though. Like, people used to have really big families. But I think it's actually growing up with us being 3. People are like, gosh, there's a lot of you. There's 3. But then it's kind of changed recently because I see, I don't know, more people are having larger families again, I feel like. I think there was a time period, though, more in Western culture where people were just having 2 or 3 kids. But it kind of seems to be changing again where people are having 4 or 5. I don't know. Not sure. But I think culturally, too, like, some cultures still have bigger families. Anyway. I don't know why I had that long talk about that lady. She is probably doing great in life, and that's fine. But I guess, okay, let me bring it back to why I think about these things. It's because she left it open-ended, and when I came to her about how I thought that video was in poor taste, and if we were friends, why would you make a video like that? She just was like, well, this is the truth, and you have to accept it, and we could be friends if you accept my viewpoint, and, oh, like, you can only be a good person if you see the world the way I see it. And I thought, wow. Like, she claimed to be so open-minded. She claimed to, like, interview people, and it was not open-minded at all. Not at all. But it's fine. It's fine. Because everybody needs to just realize that some people have an agenda. And she always had an agenda. I sound like I'm obsessed with this. No, I just feel like it basically was a culmination of so many years of me being, like, too nice of a person. And just like, oh, I want to help people. I want to help people do this and that. But why? So this is why I'm just so realistic about my YouTube. I know that I'm never going to be a star. I'm not a celebrity YouTuber. I'm not an influencer. I know that about myself. I'm happy with myself, but I know that I'm not going to ever be those things. And I'm not delulu enough to believe that I'm those things, you know? It just, a few people are, but to me it's fleeting too. Like, why? Why is it so important to be a superstar on YouTube or an influencer, or like, it could be fun, I guess, but why is that the most important thing? Like, when you start looking at the kind of content that the most popular YouTubers post, that's not content. I mean, there's very few of them that I could get behind, right? But yet, some people get really mad, like, when influencer family gets bigger and they're posting, like, this high consumption lifestyle. And I'm like, but there's other content on YouTube. And you as the viewer are, like, going back to their videos and watching all of their videos on going on lots of vacations, which they probably didn't even pay for. Because, let's be honest, a lot of things are gifts, and they're probably gifted to them. And people get really upset. I don't understand. No, I don't have dual citizenship. I'm just, because this is how it worked. I was just always a U.S. citizen. I was born here. Same with my dad. My grandpa was Syrian, but he was born here too. He could have became Syrian, right? But when people immigrated, they wanted to be like a U.S. citizen. Like, there's nothing wrong with having dual citizenship. I guess, like, let me explain the context. I guess I'm talking about, like, in that situation with that lady. It's because there's these people, they are American citizens, okay? But they're also citizens of Israel. And I feel like they're influencing American politicians to send money overseas to support that particular. Like, there's nothing wrong with dual citizenship. I think it's really cool, but maybe in that case, I don't really understand it completely, because it seems like they're wanting to influence American elections to support a foreign country, like, very heavily. And that kind of dual citizenship, you can have whatever dual citizenship you want, but to me that just feels kind of wrong right now. But I am not against dual citizenship. I just choose to I've just been an American citizen all my life. And when my family immigrated, it was with the intention that they wanted, like, they gave up their businesses, they gave up what they did because they wanted to immigrate to a country where they thought their children would have more opportunity. That was the whole thought. But I think nowadays more people do have dual citizenship. In the past, I don't think it was as encouraged. But I do kind of question the point of dual citizenship when you're having a dual citizenship and you're using it to influence American politicians to send money to a foreign country that might not always be doing things that are in the best interest of the Palestinian people, that could hurt them, and also just hurts the American people. That's kind of my critique on that. It's not like against dual citizenship in general. I'm not trying, like, maybe I'm not being specific enough about what I'm saying. I'm just saying I kind of have a problem with that. You see? I don't know. So that's more my thought about it. But, there's nothing wrong with having dual citizenship, but you're not using it for the reasons that I'm talking about. Like, the people that I'm talking about, I don't even feel like they're really invested in being American citizens. It seems like they're more invested in, like, they claim that they are, but it feels like they're more invested in what that country is doing, which I just find so hypocritical, because these are some of the same people that love to say that we don't care enough about the founding fathers and liberty and independence and all that. But yeah, when it comes down to it, they're super duper invested in what another country is doing, to which they still have citizenship, which they may have left and criticized. But it's like, I don't understand. I just don't understand it. But that's not my place to understand, really. Like, I have just decided at this point I don't really want to get involved in those debates with those people, and I'm not. But I don't think any U.S. politician should be voting to send money overseas to another country with inflation in the U.S. Oh my God! Like, to the military of another country that does bad things, that hurts people. And I'm not saying that the U.S. has been angels. Like, we did a lot of things militarily that I don't agree with. But right now, when our country has certain politicians that are backed by certain lobbies that send money to a foreign country that's doing things that a lot of us don't agree with, I just find it problematic. Okay? Especially, like, when our own congressmen are going to get together in a few months and say, oh, we need to balance our budget, and we don't have enough money for these programs for American citizens, and this and that. But yet they have enough money to send to a foreign military. And that's bothered a lot of people for a long time. And that's another reason I'm third party, because Trump's not even good on that. And no, definitely not. And, yeah, I kind of am going towards maybe Green Party, probably not independent. Maybe independent, I don't know. I'm just not into the politics as much anymore, because it's all kind of a distraction at the end of the day, really. I mean, I will go, don't get me wrong, but there's just a lot of policies that I just find so erroneous, and like, how can we support that policy? Outright support that policy. Because There are some people in the U.S., they're using their dual citizenship, and it's like benefiting them, okay? But it's hurting other Americans. And then they're influencing American politicians with some money and weapons, okay? That does that make sense? I don't know. Well, that's different though, because I feel like that's more sending money. But I guess, you know, I'll tell you another time. I guess I never even should have brought this up in the discussion. Okay. It's more about influencing a politician. Like, I don't know, do the British politicians influence Pakistani policy to that degree? Maybe. I haven't been up on that. But yeah, I'm just kind of over it. I think having whatever citizenship, if people want to have 5 citizenships, that's great. I just personally, I guess, I don't really understand, like, because these same people, they're not going to go fight in the U.S. military, okay? They're not going to be U.S. military servicemen, but because of their dual citizenship, they will go back and they will serve in the military in another country, or they won't do it, or they might not have done it. And then they're like, oh, but we should be giving all this money, and then we're not allowed to criticize anything. It's, okay. It's a murky thing is what it is, but I'm over it. And that was the thing, when once you say that you're over it, some people are like, oh, you're a supporter of that. Which is a big lie. It's a big lie. Because we all know up until World War I, the Levant lived in peace pretty much. I mean, yes, they were occupied by the Ottomans for 400 years, but there weren't these wars, there weren't these skirmishes, and the Middle East was actually a much more peaceful place before European colonization. People forgot about that. So inconvenient. So inconvenient to the modern narrative, right? Oh, and you know what else is inconvenient? Is how, up until 1492, when the Moors were in control of Spain for like 1,000 years, how, wow, everybody lived in peace, and once they kicked the Moors out, oh, the Sephardic Jews had to leave. And you had a Spanish Inquisition. Isn't that interesting? Like, it just seems like when you look at a lot of eras of persecution, and why did Columbus sail to America? Oh, it's because he was really a Sephardi Jew, and he was covering up his identity, because when the Moorish occupation and rule of Spain ended, Jewish people got kicked out. I'm just saying. And where were they welcome? They were welcome in the Ottoman Empire under Suleiman the Magnificent, who was a Muslim. So it's funny how people rewrite history. You know, they rewrite it in such a way, but when you look at what's really happening, I don't know. People rewrite history like to meet their narrative, but I don't think we should be sending money to other countries to do things that are not peaceful. Like, if it's to do a peaceful thing, that's one thing. But if it's to a country that's not doing a peaceful thing, I just don't think it's good. And I don't know. That's what I was talking about. Houses in California have a low height. I don't think so necessarily. I think it's like this apartment. Like, apartments do, yes. Houses, probably not. Houses have higher, because a lot of people are tall. My nephew, how tall? He's like 6'2". He's really tall like you, and I don't know, he was okay in my sister's house that was built in the 50s. And I don't know, there were a lot of houses that are newer that he's fine in. I think it would be an apartment. He probably wouldn't want to rent an apartment built in the 80s or something. like apartments, but I think houses are taller. I think it's apartments that aren't. A lot of people hate the showers in our apartment. They're like, oh, the showers are so short and tiny, and the appliances are so little. But for me, it's perfect. It's perfect for my height. But I think a lot of people are taller than me. Most people are taller than me. Like, I don't know. I always, honestly, like, there are some people that are my height and shorter, but a lot of people, I'm not the average U.S. height, okay? Most people in the U.S. are taller than me. I am not an average U.S. height. Like, people have become taller in the last 20, 30 years, right? 50 even. But I think I just take more after my Syrian side. And the women were tending to be shorter, and the men were not super tall either. More like Near East people are not super tall. And, well, in recent history that might change a bit, but in the past, and I think I didn't get the height. But my nephew did. But he takes after my mom's side, and they're very tall. My mom wasn't super tall, but my grandpa, he was tall. He was 6 foot something. And he used to have to bend over. Actually, I think my nephew bent over too. In our mom's kitchen. Oh my gosh, it was so not good. But that house was built in the 1930s. So modern houses are more equipped, I think, for height. I think older buildings maybe not so much. So I don't know. But I'm short, so yeah. It's a hot day outside. I feel like hair's stinky. You know, honestly, like, I think my friend's like 5'10" too. A lot of people, it's pretty standard height. But I heard in the Netherlands, like, they're making door jambs higher because people are getting taller in the Netherlands, which that's very fascinating. Like, how are they getting taller? Probably, I don't know, genetics, I guess. There was a study that was explaining how that happened, but I mean, people got taller in Japan as well. I think in modern day Syria, the women's height is pretty much like mine. Lebanon, it's about the same. In the U.S., the height has gone up. Like the average height, I'm actually the average height in 1942 in the U.S., which was 5'2", and now it's like 5'5" or something. I don't know. So I'm definitely below the average height. I can tell you that. I always love when things are on high shelves and then I have to climb up them and people are like, no, you didn't look for, like, I'm not going to go look for an employee to get something off a high shelf. If you put it up high, and I found out they always put the things they are discontinuing or that are on discount up high in the sky, I will climb up a shelving unit. And my sister's like, but they're going to fall on you. And I'm like, I don't know. They shouldn't put it up high then. And other people told us too, like, that they do the same thing. That is something that short people do, is climbing up shelving units. I haven't had to do it as much lately, but in the past, it was really bad. I feel like it's a little bit better now. But in the past, I just noticed a lot of things were always on higher shelves that I would, for some reason, want to be buying. Oh, I do that all the time. I do help people if they ask me to get something lower down. But I'm good at getting things low to the ground because I can pop up and down easily. But it's just the higher stuff. Because like the store people, I don't know, they're busy doing other things and everything's just so busy in California. So the reason I couldn't ask them was because I don't want to bother people, I guess. I'm just very like, I have a hardcore self-sufficiency streak where I will figure something out until I get it. It's just me. Like, I'm just very like, I'm very stubborn like that. Like, but it's fine to ask people. I probably could, I just don't. But like I said, I haven't really had that problem as much anymore. It was more like a few years ago. It just seemed like everything that would go on sale would be on the highest shelf. And I'd be like, why are you up there? And it was like, I can't reach you. Yeah. I should put my air conditioner. I'm so refusing to do that too. Ooh, I really do love this dress though. Oh yeah, I totally get that. You know what would be really cool is to have that robot vacuum cleaner, but is it good? Okay, you have to almost buy a really expensive one because those ones on sale, like, don't ever buy the robot vacuum cleaner from TJ Maxx or Marshall's because there was this one and I told my sister, said, I don't think that thing is gonna work. It's too good to be true. It's only like $20. It's not gonna work. It was, oh, let's try it. And it started spilling, like regurgitating water all over her kitchen floor. And I'm like, I could have told you that probably would have happened. I don't know. I wasn't super surprised that that happened, I guess. I just brushed my hair. It's really hot in here. It's 103 degrees outside. But I'm inside the bathroom. The door closed and no air conditioning. And I'm like, oh, why is it so hot in here? Just a little hot. It's just a tiny, tiny, tiny hot. So the Henry vacuum's a good one. I have a, which one do I have right now? I have, it's not Hoover, but I'll have to go look. It's been a good vacuum up until recently. But I think it's gonna die soon. Because when I turn it on, it sounds like it's gonna die. And there was a guy that wanted me to make a video with my vacuum where it would sit upright for 5 minutes making noise. And I'm like, that's weird. That is weird. Like, why? I said, you gonna buy my vacuum for $500? Oh, he didn't comment after that. He was gone. Because I told him, oh, well, I'll send it to you for $500 plus shipping if you like my vacuum. No, he just wanted me to make a vacuum video with my vacuum sitting there upright, not doing anything for 5 minutes. To laugh. I wouldn't charge him $500 for it, but I'm just like, it was a joke, because I'm like, if you're gonna leave some weird comment like that, I have a weirder comment for you. Some of these people are just funny though, like, maybe you have a vacuum fetish, I don't know. Is that a thing? Maybe that's a new thing. I don't know. Because why would anybody want that? Like, why would you want a video of somebody that vacuums sitting up right for 5 minutes? Or maybe he was drunk, or I don't know. I don't understand. He was bored. I don't know. That sounds too cold. Why is it so cold during the winter time? I'm not gonna complain about the heat because I like the heat, but I'm just like I don't understand. Like it's like it's never summer there or something. I mean, I guess that's their summer, but it just doesn't seem very appealing. I wouldn't want to live somewhere that's that cold in the wintertime. In that case, I can totally understand why you would want to have like several passports to go to different places. I'm just happy living in California, but that's me. Like when I was little, my mom used to like be like, "Oh, I miss the Midwest," and I'm like, "Why? This is so green, and I miss this, and I miss that." And I just thought it was this most idealized thing or something, like the way she would talk about how she missed it. And then we went to go visit her family in Kansas, and it had changed a lot. It wasn't even rural anymore. It was just very suburban. And I'm like, this is what you miss? Like, why did you miss this? And the sky was overcast, okay? So it was summer, but it was like an overcast sky, and it was cold for like a week. Maybe not as cold as England, but it was kind of cold and rainy and drizzly. And the sun didn't come out until like 5 days into our visit. And I was already getting depressed. I'm like, what kind of weather is this? I want sunny summer weather. This isn't like, and it wasn't even like a California storm where like you have these beautiful clouds and then they part and the sun just like streams through the clouds. Like there's just this beauty to the California, like even when it is overcast, like later the sun will peek out and the sky clears up and it's just such a beautiful bright blue sky. No, it was just clouds for like 5 days, and then it rained, and then it stopped raining, and then it kind of got hot, and it was just humid. So I think she kind of got over this missing Kansas thing, because I'm like, I think you just miss seeing your dad, but I don't really think there's anything to miss about Kansas. The weather's not that great, and all it is green. Oh, and we got to visit a cheese factory, which I have no interest in cheese. I found that very boring. So I found a soda machine in the staff snack bar, and I drank soda. And my cousin was like, "You found a soda!" And that was like the highlight. Anyway, I wasn't a fan of Kansas, but that's kind of what it sounds like to me. Thank you, Danielle. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good day.